2025 will most likely go down as one of the most eventful political years in Philippine history. There were many ups and downs. The year started with a lot of controversy over the pre-elections budget, which some advocates describe as the worst budget ever due to its anomalous nature. And then came the midterm elections, which in many ways ended up as indecisive. On one hand, the administration dominated local government and congressional races, but in the Senate, it struggled to get even half of the seats. The Duterte camp did better than expected, but nevertheless, they were not also able to mount a dominant counter coalition. And then came the big surprise of Bam Aquino and Kiko Pangilinan, ending up among top 5 candidates in the senatorial race despite their tremendously limited resources. And of course, very progressive policies. So in short, the midterm elections created mixed results. Each side, the Pinks, the Dutertes, the Marcoses, could claim victory, and each side still did not have a decisive outcome. Then things got even more interesting. As the Senate continued to drag its feet under former Senate President Chizo Escudero on the impeachment trial of Sara Duterte, there was a deus ex machina. The Philippine Supreme Court came in and questioned the whole impeachment process on technicality grounds, essentially killing the process. Then came another plot twist. President Marcos Jr. admitting in the State of the Nation address that indeed there was something exceptionally wrong with the budget and that there was rampant corruption. The gravity of the situation became clear when trillions of pesos spent on flood control projects were clearly not doing the job. If anything, those shoddy projects may have contributed to excessive deaths and destruction that has been visiting the country throughout multiple storms in the past few months. In short, it became impossible for the president to pretend that there was nothing seriously wrong with the misappropriation of public funds. This immediately gave ammunition, not only to progressives pushing for good governance, but also the Duterte camp, which had just declared victory after the deus ex machina of Supreme Court ruling on Sara impeachment trial. And then came months and months of investigations under the ICI. Then came developments with the ICC. Then came, of course, this last-minute cases filed against Sara Duterte at the Ombudsman. Oh, and lest we forget, massive rallies against corruption by different groups. In many ways, the Philippine political landscape nowadays looks like the battle of the 5 armies. On one hand, you have the administration, which is struggling to push back against its critics and make legacy reforms in its final years. Then you have the resurgent Dutertes who are trying to wrest back control of the Malacanang even as they potentially face a proverbial red wedding. Then comes, of course, some very questionable elements and ex-generals and people with military background who want nothing less than a junta and a transitional council that is effectively regime change. Then you have kind of Bolshevik-style radicals who want a people power revolution that has a much more socialistic and communistic character. Penultimately, though, you have the pink forces, the progressive forces, the middle forces, whatever you want to call them, so far led by a spiritual figure, Cardinal Ambo David. But who are the political leaders really from the opposition who will lead the middle forces into 2028 and shape the next 2 years of the BBM presidency? In order to better understand the political landscape and what lies ahead for the country, we have not one, but 2 special guests. Thank you so much, Dean. And Dean, ito na, year-ender, it was a crazy year. Parang battle of the 5 armies ang nangyari ngayon. We have on one hand, of course, the administration, which is doing its best, but also struggling, at least in terms of the WR number and some of the numbers we're seeing. And then obviously the Dutertes. Now, I'm not sure they're necessarily safe, but they're also on the offensive very much, pushing for, some would even say, regime change. And then, of course, you have some elements who want a kind of a military solution to this, transitional council. And then, for the lack of a better term, let's just call them Bolsheviks, no? Or some radical friends who want, eto na yung opening nila for people's revolt. Which leaves really the fifth group, which is the group I think that a lot of us have been focusing on for quite some. This is the liberal progressive, let's call them centrist forces, right? You have Cardinal Ambo, you have a lot of this progressive liberal party, people affiliated with the Pinks, who are kind of trying to hold the fort. But my understanding is that parang nasa interregnum tayo ngayon. I don't know. What is your read of lay of the land, Dean Ed, if I may start with you? Nasaan tayo ngayon dito sa Battle of the Five Armies? Is Marcos safe? Did he just get saved by the buzzer because some people are worried about some developments in November? Or are there more interesting things to come? Where are we now?
I think it's safe to say that he is safe for the Christmas season.
For the Christmas
Well,
season,
sociologically kasi Filipinos are somehow kinder, tend to focus on family and tend to forget, at least temporarily, these issues. No, but as you correctly pointed out, things might get more interesting by the first quarter of next year.
Right.
So titignan natin dyan would be, of course, the impeachment is going to hit the deadline again by February 6. So between now and then, baka may mga naghahanda na to file another impeachment case against Vice President Sara. And again, still, cases are still being prepared by the Ombudsman. So yun yung mga binabantayan ng mga forces that you mentioned earlier. But I think for now, the President can sleep soundly until the holiday season's over.
But how can you feel sleep soundly if you know you only have the holidays and then there's nothing
Well, at least
after?
I'm saying, Richard, for now,
Yeah.
mukhang he has seen the worst of the challenges na nakita natin noong November, no? So that's what I'm thinking.
Din, first quarter storm, what are we looking at in the first quarter of next year? I mean, napa-prediction na tayo, but that's already shaping the state of mind right now. What could come in the opening months of 2026?
Well, there will be some critical elements that we need to observe and critically examine, especially we're in the mid of December. And if you remember, this was the period when President Marcos promised that, merong makukulong na big fish. So, we really have to wait today or till tomorrow, no? Kasi siya nag-commit niyan, no? But of course, yung mga Pilipino, sabi mo nga, naagawan sila ng Pasko dahil sa issue ng flood control, and they would like to savor itong remaining days. And to experience itong Christmas. Kaya I'm sure, tama sinabi ni Dean Ed, no? Medyo safe si President BBM. But January is almost in our doorstep.
Yeah.
So definitely, aantayin ng mga tao yung mga crucial decisions ng Ombudsman in particular. Now, sinasabi nila yung ICI daw will only extend until February. So kailangan niyang siguraduhin, sinupin, for example, of this administration for this administration to be able to survive, recover, and if this administration is still interested to at least win some important decisions as well as support from our people. Dahil survey says recently nga, it is the lowest period of the Marcos presidency. So, it requires some dramatic actions on the part of the Malacanang to strike a heavy blow that people will recognize at sabihin nila, taga, may gobyerno pa pala tayo.
Right.
At yung gobyerno to ay handang tumugon sa mga problema kinakaharap ng ating bansa, especially, hindi pa tatapos yan ng flood control issue. And of course, people are now zeroing everything in corruption, sa lahat ng bagay. Parang end all be all na ang corruption. So, yan ang aantabayanan natin for first quarter ng 2026.
Medyo rewind tayo ng konti. So, anong basa natin dyan sa November? Kasi sinasabi ng marami, it was far, medyo humbler yung numbers kumpara dun sa September na nakita natin. Although nationwide, marami LGUs nag-attend, so we can easily talk about more than 100,000 people, which is a respectable number. But even the INC's numbers were not as big as the one they mobilized in January and all. May kinalaman din yan sa kind of drawing down towards Christmas na ba tayo? Or is it because maybe the administration is doing just good enough to tell people, hinay-hinay muna tayo, let's give the process a chance. So, you can do your concerts there, you can do your conversations there. And some would say maybe behind the scenes there are already negotiations happening, which is why it may explain medyo diffuse yung tensions in the way that was not the case in September nung nag-uusap-usap tayo.
I think there are several things working on, Richard. No, there's no single explanation that can
Right.
account for the seeming dwindling of the numbers. No, number one, I think, is that there are different kinds of protests that we're seeing right now. No,
Mhm.
instead of the traditional ones where people converge in EDSA or perhaps Luneta, ang dami na yan, especially with people of the Gen Z
Yeah.
generation. So they tend to go online and use
Even in
different
UAP games, diba?
UAAP
Sa
games.
UAP game,
So,
NCAA, so
correct.
marami.
Many different kinds of forms of protest. Kaya that's one explanation. The other thing is perhaps medyo ano din medyo yung timing din, I think. Perhaps if you look at
Mhm.
the way the rallies in November were organized, medyo diffused and hindi masyadong tight yung logistical.
You mean the organization?
Yes,
medyo
I
ano?
think. I think so. That's another explanation.
Okay.
No? But to say that it's because there's waning down of support for these protests, medyo I'm not ready to say it that way, put it that way.
Baka temporary dip lang or people are just giving it a pause, time out
Well,
ng
yeah.
konti.
That's the other thing pala that
Yeah.
I failed to mention. This administration is at least doing something. No?
Exactly, yeah.
Medyo perhaps not to the satisfaction of many people, including myself, but for the majority of our kababayans, I think meron silang nakikitang kahit paano palpable results out of this whole corruption mess that we're in.
I mean, you had no less than
Yep.
the son of the president being summoned before the ICI, right? Sandro Marcos, investigation launched against the former Speaker of the House, cousin of the president. I mean, a couple of big personalities were at the very least investigated, and some of the files were forwarded already to Ombudsman. Is the president doing just good enough, Dean?
Well, before I answer that, gusto ko lang dugtungan yung sasabi ni Dean Ed. No?
Please.
Perhaps, isa rin sa mga dahilan, but for example, nag-wane din itong November 30. There's also a rumor, I don't know, that we heard about the civilian military junta.
Baka ma-hijack.
No? So, yan din siguro yung mga, sa mga
Right.
factor. That's why people might think otherwise. Teka, baka magamit ito. As
Correct.
mentioned nga, for lack of a
Yeah,
term,
true.
ma-hijack ito. And of course, sino ba ang ready? Sino makikinabang? Now, once, for example,
I wonder. I'm
this-
not
this-
sure.
that's definitely the question that epistemic question that we need to address, no, for that reason. So yun din siguro dahil kaya nga yung what we call the middle forces, the middle class as well, no, medyo naging iffy sila for the November 30. Of course they are aiming for accountability, but nakakatakot kung mangyayari ay yung na-flaunt yung idea ng civilian military junta na kung tutusin naman, the civilian there is only cosmetic dahil nakakatakot dahil nga it was led by yung mga military retired
Ex-military,
military,
yeah.
no, ex-military that already met General Browner during the September 21 rally. Tapos itutuloy nila dito. So yun din, no. But going back to your question, no, yung for example, medyo naging aggressive din si Majority Leader Sandro Marcos and among others not to be investigated ng ICI. Well, it's somehow a gesture on the part of the administration of their commitment that, they created ICI, so they have to put some legitimacy on the process.
Right.
So, kailangan ipakita yon, no? Kaya nga ang katwiran, at least siya humarap, no? Kasakay Pulong Duterte na gumawa ng maraming dahilan. So, but at the end of the day, ang sasay pa rin naman natin, ICI should live. It's really its mandate. Bagamat ang kritik natin sa ICI ay marami siyang mga kakulangan, in a sense, wala siyang subpoena power, but yung isang masinop na investigasyon, especially, ang hindi pa nariyan yung forensic accounting. I'm still looking at the result ng forensic
that's a good
accounting.
point. Very good point.
Nasaan yung daloy ng pera, meron ba? Or, not unless this is a secret that cannot be discussed sa public, but nevertheless, I think these are a serious effort to see whether ICI trace nasaan ng mga pera at sino talaga maging accountable. Kasi yun ang mga missing link dito. No? We might mention a lot of political senador, congressman, contractor, etc. Pero can they show the money? Di ba? Sabi nga nila, show me the money and I'll show you the way. So,
Right.
nasaan yan?
Yung money trail, no?
Yeah, definitely.
Before the end of the year, though, may mga pasabog tayo. So on one hand, you have Zaldico making certain claims, and you also have a certain person claiming to be from the inner circle of the Vice President Sara Duterte, and claiming that, basically siya yung hatchet man, right? I mean, what is our read of that? Is there enough credence for us to take some of these exposés seriously? I mean, could this get serious, especially in light of the fact that there was also a very thorough case filed against Vice President Sara Duterte at the Ombudsman this month? I mean, perfect storm ba darating, or you think this is still, I don't know, the Sara Duterte team says purong fishing expedition lang ito. These are all political harassment.
I think first for Professor Richard, there's something that we have to say about the so-called not testimony but statements made by Mr. Madriaga and former Congressman Zaldico. From an evidentiary point of view,
Mhm.
yung kay Madriaga carries more
Yeah,
weight because it is properly
Affidavit,
notarized. There is
Right.
a threat that would befall upon him if he lies in that document. Yung kay former Congressman Saldico, walang ganun eh. It was just a statement that he made over the internet, etc. So he
From a
doesn't-
safe distance.
from a safe distance,
Yeah.
and so he cannot be called to account for what he said, no?
Right.
So from that point of view alone, medyo mas may credence yung kay
Madriaga.
Madriaga. And I think that's just the start of it. It's
Mm.
not as though tapos na, okay, he made that statement already. I'm sure right now, and remember there's already been a case that has been filed against the Vice President in the Ombudsman. I'm sure tinitignan na nila yung testimony o yung affidavit ni Madriaga for possible case build-up. So, between those two, medyo
May weight, yeah.
malabnaw yung kay
Kay
Saldico. At
Saldico,
saka
yeah.
mas may weight.
And
itong
Zaldico
kay
claimed that he's completely innocent, right? Which is not the case with the other agenda. I think the other agenda man is a little bit more honest about the fact that hindi malinis ang
Yeah.
kamay niya.
Well, I
diba?
think that's the main problematic ni
Saldi.
Saldico kasi
Yeah.
when he said wala akong kinita dyan, all his credibility already went down the drain. As opposed to somebody like yung
Who's
kay
here,
Mr.
who's willing to face
Yeah, he
charges
was
and
there
everything.
and everything,
Notarized,
yeah.
What about you, Dean? What is your read of that? I mean, you have two major exposés with two very different implication of who is really the mastermind of what's going wrong with the country.
Well, very clear naman yung sinabi ni Dean Ed, no? Of course, when you talk about testimony, you talk about affidavit, importante talaga na meron kang mga sinumpaang salaysay, no? May notary public na pinagdaanan, and compared with Saldico na sabi mo nga kanina, it was mentioned in a very safe place.
Right.
Nasa
No
Europe pa
skin in
siya.
the game.
Yeah.
Baka
And
AI pa
yan
nga
yung-
daw eh. Iba-iba
yung sa
itsura
mga-
every week eh.
And if you remember, isa talaga sa mga naging the flabbergas yung mga tao dyan sa statement na
Yes,
wala akong
kinita.
kinalaman, wala
Yun,
akong kinita. So, so how do you explain that to an ordinary people na na-involved sa isang malaking transaction that all of a sudden he did it in a, out of the goodness of his heart. No? Not unlike in Ramil Madriaga's case, na talagang clearly sabi niya, hindi kasama ako dito, bahagi ako sa mga naging pagpaplano, at in fact, he established kaya yung isip, di ba? Yung
Yeah.
Hinday Sara
Basically for the
na-
presidential
precisely,
run.
launching
Yeah.
for
Nasa SEC yan. I think you
Sa
can confirm that.
presidency.
These things are not
tapos,
mystical. Yeah.
sinabi niya talaga yung in one way or another yung kanyang affiliation sa mga naging yung mga naging estudyante sila parehas, pero hindi sila naging
Right.
classmate, ha? Daan natin yun. Sila naging classmate kasi mas matanda si Madriaga kay VP Sara. So, yan yung mga bagay that can be verified. At dahil nga
Right.
yan is nung pang salaysay, I mean, now we could use the what you call this, no? The law to check
Mhm.
yung veracity nitong statement to. And in the event nga na hindi totoo ito, so mas lalo mag-gravitate yung kaso na kinakaharap ni Madriaga ngayon.
Balikan natin kasi hindi ito na meron tayong hindi ito first time na meron tayong may nag-expose dun sa inner workings ng the Duterte Inc., right?
Las
You had
Cañas,
Las Cañas, Matobato.
Yeah.
Many people made fun of them. There was a time Las Cañas was making fun of Matobato. Next thing you know, two of them
Yeah.
have been cleared by no less than ICC at the highest level, at the highest threshold of evidentiary verification. Then you have Garma,
Yeah.
right? Who everyone was also flabbergasted. Ano pinagsasabi nito? And now that could also be admissible, even at the level of the ICC, right? Hindi kaya baka this is a version of that. And by implication, baka may mga darating pang ibang expose from the inner sanctum, kumbaga, ng Duterte operations, no? Duterte Empire, if I can put it that
Could
way.
be very possible, Richard,
Yeah.
kasi I think the difference between the names that you first mentioned was the timing eh. Remember that it was the height of the Duterte administration
Yeah.
at that time when Matubato and Las Cañas came to the fore. So medyo was a dangerous
Correct.
thing to
Yeah.
be
Against skin
questioning
in the
yeah,
game, eh.
at
Yeah.
that time. Pero ngayon, that things are unfolding as we speak, nakikita natin, mukhang nagkakaroon ng, I think, some form of logical connection on the part
Right.
of the people na, well, could be nga, baka nga nagsasabi ng totoo ito. And so therefore, it's gaining some form of credence, and at the
Correct.
same time, nagkakaroon siya ng traction, no? Especially with these people who were inside the
Yeah.
so-called operations. Hindi sila mga outsider na
Yeah.
looking in. They were there. They were part of the action. So, I think this is just a start, and baka dadami pa yan, magi-snowball pa yan in the near future.
Yun ang inisip ko nga, baka this could be just an opening salvo. Now, going back to this, VP Sara is still leading in all of these pre-election surveys. Last time I checked, one way of reading is that siya yung leading kasi siya lang yung open contender.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah.
Because last time I checked, Senator Raffy Tulfo is also here in this building. He has made it very clear, he has no intentions to run, or at least that's what he claims. The progressive opposition is still debating
Yeah.
the mechanisms of determining, choosing.
yeah.
They're not even talking about who should be, right? And Mayor Lenny, who's the naturally seen as the top contender, is also very clear na focus siya sa Naga, the LGU level, which leaves you with a kind of a mixed understanding. So, malakas pa rin ba ang mga Duterte or hindi? Or by default pa ba yung kanilang, the impression that they're still strong and they're still in the game?
But very clearly naman, after the end of Duterte's presidency, tapos eventually yung unit team ay no longer united, and perhaps yung pagkakulong din ni former President Duterte sa ICC. Makikita mo talaga may mga cracks na rin, no, in terms of
Right.
their influence, in terms of their support. And of course, syempre, sa Filipino parlance, no, weather lang yan. No? But I agree with you that I think the very reason why VP Sara Duterte is still the number one contender for the presidency. Kasi siya talaga yung
Siya lang yung
openly
contender.
nagsasabi kanyang interest to run as
Right.
president. Although may backtracking pa nga siya, na nagba-backpedal pa siya na sinasabi na, teka, hindi na ako sigurado, etc. And of course,
Which is
other
what her
people
dad did a
are still
million
debating.
times, yeah.
Yung nga problema, debating sa process eh. So, yun yung problema sometimes din ng liberal progressive eh. We're very much into process, and sometimes na-overtake tayo ng panahon.
Events and,
Diba? And the
yeah.
events. No? Because, we can no longer anticipate, for example, we're still in the catharsis, nasa emotional catharsis pa rin tayo, pero yung problema natin, yung mga tao nagugutom, kailangan na ng solusyon, naghahanap na ng taong magiging savior nila sa panahon na may ganito kang crisis. Yung progressive ay nagdidebate pa lang sa process. Wala naman tayong primary katulad sa US. No? In the first place, we have a very weak political party system. Kaya yun din siguro. No? Kung hindi yan pag-uusapan at hindi magsama-sama ang malaking broad coalition ng opposition against VP Sara. No? So baka may hirapan. Pero of course, maaga pa naman, at I hopefully that 2026 will be an opportunity to consolidate and,
Okay,
offer some
pag-usapan
alternative.
natin din. I think this is a very important thing, no? Kasi ang basa ko dito, ang concern ng iba is ayaw nilang maging mukhang epal or nag-hijack itong public grievance for a political cause. But the other side of the coin is, kaya nga si Sara is still seen as the default frontrunner is because hindi klaro kung may alternative.
Yeah.
So how do you balance that? Paano magkaroon ng clear leadership ang centrist forces, let's just call them that, or middle forces, without coming off as taking advantage of the political moment for a political agenda? Or maybe there's nothing wrong with having a clear political agenda. Kung maganda naman yung political agenda mo, what is your read of that? How do you balance those kind of concerns? Or what may explain the diffidence? Kasi yung isa pang naisip ko dito, both things, I want to get your point is, may mga iba naman, medyo worried sila na baka just the whiff of discussion of who should be the leader of opposition could be prematurely destructive when all we need right now is eye on the ball, right? Because let's be honest, we saw that when Senator Riza, for instance, mentioned something about this, there were some back and forth. And I'll be very honest about it. Let's have a real talk. We also saw that in 2025, supporters of Kiko and supporters of BAM also had certain kind of, back and forth. So, again, how do you make sure na hindi mukhang epal? hindi mukhang nag-hijack ito. At more importantly, hindi maging divisive ang discussions of clear leadership for the centrist forces. I mean, you want to start, Ed? Dean Ed?
Well, ako, I would have to agree that it might be too premature if you identify a single person that would somehow be the person who would challenge VP Sara in 2028. Kasi we've seen that before. That's one of the cardinal mistakes that were committed by presidential candidates who did not win in previous elections. However, but at the same time, that does not mean that there can be no negotiations between, for lack of a better term, the progressives that we've mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
So dapat nag-uusap na sila ngayon. And ano yung dapat pag-usapan nila? I think they have to talk about issues instead of, and an agenda, instead of advancing a
Right.
single person that would make a run for 2028, they should talk more about issues and then
Yeah.
perhaps also negotiate moving forward, no? Siyempre, we would understand that there are some things that are happening behind the public's eye, but at the very least, they should have some kind of modus vivendi so that they could
Right.
so that they could create some form of working coalition moving forward. At the very least, hindi nila uupakan yung isa't isa so that in the end, the default would benefit whoever is the front runner right now.
Should they have a kind of a united front at least for press conferences, for at least optics? Do you think it would be nice to have like Kiko, Bam, Risa, Len, I don't know, all of them in one place, one picture, Happy New Year, something like that?
Yeah, that's a powerful image that they can consider.
Right.
And also unified along an important issue. Again, it doesn't need to be 2028. And right now, medyo that's something that they have to think about more seriously, I think.
Ako, importante dito ma-define din talaga ano ba yung common ground
Right.
nitong mga taong ito na gusto mag-contest. Kasi that can be the fulcrum. Halimbawa, ano yung selling point ni VP Sara? No? Sasabi niya, injustice. Yung sa ginawa sa kay former President Duterte. Injustice sa mga Pilipino dahil daw dinakawan itong sa corruption, itong administrasyon ito. Pero look at the record, for example, of the past administration where her father was the president then. Hindi yun masyadong napag-uusapan eh. Yung titingnan natin maigi, masyado tayong nakafocus pa rin dun sa personality, which I completely agree dahil Pilipino
Right.
talaga, mas titingnan yung person rather than the issue. But siguro yun nga eh, ano yung issue talaga, yung common ground that can serve as a fulcrum na yung mga Pilipino magsasama-sama, ito yung puntahan natin. Kasi ito lang yung mga gut level issues na kahit yung mga common tao ay nakapag-identify. Ang nagiging concern kasi halimbawa dito sa what we call yung centrist middle forces, very elite pa din yung kanilang mga statement, yung kanilang mga programa. So at the end of the day, ang nakapag-identify pa rin talaga sa mga issue ng pangkaraniwang tao, yung mga posisyon ni VP Sara. Although, of course, pag susuriin mo maigi,
Or Bongo.
Okay, Bongo.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
o kay Robin Padilla, no? Pero kung pag susuriin mo maigi, at the end of the day,
Ano yung issue ni Robin
it's
Padilla?
the other way around. Di ba? No, so I'm saying
I
is
know.
that
You're talking about the charisma and all. No, which is
Yeah.
an important case kasi if you're to believe some of the surveys, both Okta, Double or Numero have shown that actually the biggest faction is the non-faction, right?
Yeah.
Which is the
Malaki pa rin talaga
non-decided,
yun.
right?
Yeah.
So how do you win them over?
Yep.
What could be the clincher here? Aside from, okay, ayaw natin sa corruption at ipakulong yung mga corrupt. What else should you do to win over
No,
that faction?
definitely, kaya nga sasabi ko, message matters
Yeah.
in this particular juncture. No? Ano yung mensahe talaga natin? Sa 39% na what's called unaffiliated,
Yeah.
naghahanap ng alternative doon sa oposisyon, na pinagsama-sama mo, for example, Pink Forces, Dilawan, Progressive, etc. And then the Duterte faction. So
Yeah.
malaking bahagi yun. So sabihin, they're still
Absolutely.
try to listen to both sides. And they're not satisfied. I mean, hindi man nangangahulugan na sure winner, for example, si VP Sara dito sa last result ng survey ng WR numero. At yung Octata maglalabas din. And we have to look at
Right.
that. But at the end of the day, what makes them convinced that, people who are waiting for so long after X number of years after the past administration and now in the middle of this administration, is still longing for justice, is still longing for basic services. Nahihirapang sumakay sa pag-commute. Ngayon, Christmas season, ang tagal mag-antay. ng ruta ng mga bus dahil sa sobrang traffic, umuulan,
Right.
traffic, at baha sa mga kalsada. So anong mensahe natin sa kanila? Yung mga ordinaryong na mga tao na walang matanggap na Christmas bonus, no? So nasan sila ngayon? So
So
how do
the
we convince them?
hopelessness, how do you deal with the cynicism,
Precisely.
hopelessness?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think yung message of hope Yun ba yung
Oh, hindi lang yung pakulong kasi that's more rage. Eh.
Yeah,
You
oo.
have to go beyond politics of rage, right? And, I mean, righteous anger is good.
Yeah.
But it's not constructive, right? It's not an inspiring, constructive kind of message. Kayo din,
well,
how
ako,
this-
I mean, listening to what Dean Gary said earlier, no, I
Yeah.
think it's also a good exercise in civic education, no, and governance. If they
100%.
could pull off something like that, really get the messaging from the people themselves, it's going to be
Right.
very powerful because nung previous years kasi ang narrative lang nun talaga is drugs and all, but we have in our midst right now the capacity of certain individuals and certain groups to really shape the future that the country would take, no, and that does not necessarily need to come from the leaders. Kunin
Yeah.
ninyo sa
Grassroots.
sa mga taos from the grassroots, and it's
Yeah.
going to be powerful, and not only for 2028 but really for the long project of democratization and
Right.
civics and governance.
Do you think that Bam and Kiko's exceptional success, surprising success in 2025, may give us some clues? Kasi very gut issues, pagkain, edukasyon. Kasi parang ang point naman nila Kiko and Bam, and now I can see the wisdom of their arguments that alam naman nila hindi kami mamamatay tayo, alam naman nila hindi kami corrupt. So what else are we gonna offer? And that's exactly
Yeah.
what they focused on. And it
Edukasyon at
worked.
pagkain.
It worked very well. Do you think maybe Kiko and Bam could give us a building block of kind of a third force way out of this? Kasi ang basa ko dito is, nakita rin natin yung limitation ng Dutertismo and limitation din ng the Marcosian rhetoric. Let's be honest about it. Both of them have been exposed in a certain way. Each side is going to claim that the other side betrayed the other side. But the whole implosion of the unity team, in my opinion, has created a vacuum, kind of an opening for a third force. But that third force has to give something new.
Yeah.
Hindi
Yeah,
babalik ka na naman sa pre-2016.
Agree.
Which is where my worry is. You may disagree with me, but my worry is that I think some people are looking at the implosion right now, saying, "Oh, so this was just a freak accident this past 10 years. We can go back to business as usual, daan matuwid politics,"
No.
which I feel is you don't need to do Hegelian dialectics to understand you cannot go back to that anymore, right? Hindi pwede tayo mag-iPhone 1 na naman. Medyo kailangan mo mag-next level na ngayon. And that's where I think we can have a healthy discussion, right? And we see it naman in the survey, hindi nagre-resonate yung daan matuwid. I mean, we agree ethically as Catholics, as Christians, gano'n. But politically, hindi naman yata yun ang priority ng mga kabayan natin, karamihan, di ba? Priority nila edukasyon, pagkain, infrastruktura, di ba? Protection from extreme weather conditions, mga ganitong bagay.
So, I agree with you on that statement na we cannot do a 2.0 of the Daang Matuwid kasi kumbaga nga, kung yung Dutertismo and the Marcosian image or of this administration, bumenta na rin yan.
Yeah.
Bumenta na din yung Daang Matuwid. And so, we really have to distill it from the people, from the
Yeah.
grassroots. And if we go back to your mention of Senator Kiko and Bam, you also look at the sector kasi where do they get most
Interesting.
of their votes? And it was not really surprising for us because we did the rounds of universities
Yeah.
pre-election,
Gen
and
Z.
the mere mention of these individuals would really talagang generate a lot of excitement on the part of the Gen Z. So that should also be part of the consideration. And remember that the
Although wala tayong
demographic,
exit polls, no? So that's my frustration.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
hard to say with clear evidence.
Yeah.
But-
Gen Z carried the day.
sure, but you have to look at the changing demographics. How many are first-time voters?
Yeah.
That should at the very least, give you some kind of clue.
Sure.
Perhaps
May
not in
proxy.
precise
Yeah.
mathematical terms, but that would somehow give you a clue that the demographics of elections are also changing.
Correlational. I mean, you could say anecdotally, correlationally, you can make an... But importantly, sa 2028, mas maging malaking role ng Gen Z and yung mga millennials, right? Combined, there will be more than half of the voters, right? So, clearly, hindi lang dapat galing sa grassroots, galing sa youth sector ang ideas about winning because they have the numbers.
True.
That's where But again, as we discussed earlier, for instance, with Dr. Robin Garcia, their proxy survey, kasi they didn't talk about politics, of Gen Z, sentiment shows na hindi rin sila monolithic,
Yeah,
obviously.
yeah.
I think the mistake here is that we treat them as they're not.
They're
They
not.
are also very diverse. Rural,
Sure.
urban divides are
Sure.
there, class
Sure.
divides are there, regional
Sure.
issues. But I think what we can all agree with here is that it introduces a new dynamic. And that's why hindi pwede bumalik sa 2015, 2010, 20... I would also say, a lot of our assumptions cannot apply because Inday Sara was already the presidential candidate the moment she became the vice president. Because people were even surprised that she didn't run for presidency.
Yeah.
So in that sense, this is a very different picture whereby in the past, right, hindi ganun ka-clear yung front runner in the way we had it. I mean, she won 60% of the votes, right? She has maintained high approval ratings. I would say, maybe you can disagree with me, but I don't think even Binay had that kind of dominance, sustained dominance all the way, at least this close to the next election. I don't know. But I can think of Vice President Binay as the closest parallel because he still had around 30-40% preference rates. But yun nga, my point is that maybe we're even entering a new landscape altogether. This is what I hear abroad. Everyone is saying, a lot of our assumptions, us political scientists, economists, maybe you have to revisit it because the physics of power is changing. Do you see where I'm coming from?
Yeah, pero Richard, you have also to understand and you have to be candid about this.
Sure.
Hindi rin naging maganda yung performance kasi ng administrasyong ito, especially in addressing some of the major issues, no? In one way or another. Kaya,
Sure, 100%.
definitely merong contribute din talaga dun sa rising popularity and longevity ng Duterte administration, no? Kahit alam mo natin na in terms of credibility, in terms of, moral standing, no? Ang hirap sabihin, halimbawa, yung sasabi nila na sila ay pro-democracy, pro-human rights, pro-due process.
People power.
No? Now the campaign for people, lahat ng mga sinabi nila, lahat ng mga pinagbawal nilang sabihin during their time, ngayon ay ina-articulate nila. Pero again, nagagamit kasi nila yung problema ng administration because this administration somehow failed to act together.
Yeah, it's very
So that's why, of course, sinasabi naman natin ay, may pagkakataon naman na i-address itong mga problema to at meron nakita natin maigi in one way or another, may ginagawa naman yung administrasyong Marcos Jr. But on the other hand, isa rin yun sa mga nagiging contributing factors why may ganun ka longevity. So, between that, na meron kang gobyerno na nagka-problema at try to recover, and then you have a vice president na mukhang wala, all of a sudden natabunan yung kanyang mga issues That's why it's good na lumabas uli ang civil society, nag-file na case sa ombudsman. Kasi tama naman hindi mo ba pwedeng i-absuelto lang
Correct.
itong vice president sa mga alleged issues na involved sa kanya. At kailangan natin malaman yung katotohanan dito. Especially nga yung impeachment ay nagkaroon ka ng problema because it was struck down by the Supreme Court. But of course, hopefully, kung magkakaroon ng second impeachment in 2026, mas napaghandaan nila ito. Kasi at the end of the day, there's still unresolved issues.
Right.
Hindi pwede ikumpara halimbawa, sabihin natin pera ng flood control at confidential funds. These are still both public funds and they should be used properly. No, hindi yan pwedeng sabihin, hindi mas malaki ang flood control funds sa confidential funds. So at the end of the day, nagnakaw ka ng 1 milyon at 1 billion, still pag nanakaw yun Di ba? So, yun yung mga nakakalimutan. Kaya nga, at least, yung bago patapos ang taon ay meron tayong mga civil society organizations, mga individuals from the academy, who again reminded everyone and filed directly sa ombudsman. At sana magkaroon din talaga ito ng, a day in a court para mapag-usapan kung meron ba talagang katotohanan yung lahat ng mga sinampa laban kay VP Sara.
The last part of our discussion, which is really moving forward, looking forward, anti-dynasty bill. 13 versions, 12 versions, 11 versions, ang daming versions. Some are very ambitious. Ang daming pinagbawalan, yung succession, yung simultaneity, multiple level. And some of them are really performative. Basically, hindi lang pwede kayo tumakbo magkamag-anak for one position, but everything else is a fair game. Where do you stand on that, Dean? Because I know you have been part of the charter change debate also for quite some time. I don't think you need a charter change for this because you just need an enabling law for what is there already as a provision of the Constitution, right? So anong basa niyo dito sa anti-dynasty bill na sinusulong ng isang Marcos admin with another Marcos also in the Congress filing it?
Yeah, I think that is also part of why some people would dismiss it as performative because of the sectors nga where it's coming from, no? Especially since we know mathematically a great number of the members of the House of Representatives belong to political dynasties, no? So
So it will be a sapuko if they like.
in a sense, it can be seen that way, no? But
Yeah.
I look at it really as more of opening the conversation rather than
At least,
really
yeah.
putting a period to it, eh.
Correct.
Kasi as you mentioned, there are several versions from, ranging from the most ambitious to parang it's just, wala lang, no?
Yeah.
But there's also a valid point about, you may not agree with it, but it's also a valid point for us to revisit the Constitution itself, so that if and when it becomes challenged later on, you would have an arsenal of argument that
Interesting.
would somehow support your advocacy towards banning political dynasties. Because it depends on which article you're talking about, 6 or 7.
Right.
Medyo fixed yung requirements for certain elective positions, eh. While at it, why not go the extra mile and do a constitutional change in the process? I mean, I'm open to it. And also
Interesting.
talk about the other issues that we've been discussing in the past. No?
So a charter change could be part of the twilight years of Marcos conversation.
Sure.
I mean-
That can be again, for lack of a better term, a legacy project that he
Sure.
might
Mhm.
embark on.
Well, he
between
ran on
now.
federal parties
Yeah,
platform.
Partido
So,
Federal.
And he is still a member of Partido Federal ng Pilipinas.
exactly.
up
So
to
it
now.
will be consistent.
Yeah.
What about you, Dean? What is your rate of this like 50 shades of anti-dynasty bill versions we're seeing here?
Very clearly naman yung nakalagay sa Constitution. It just so happen na meron lang kasing Constitution, there should be an enabling law. Siguro kung sinabi itong anti-dynasty simply ban, anti-dynasty provision, that's it eh. Hindi mo na kailangan ng enabling law. But of course, that's bridge under the water at may sinabi nga doon na enabling law. Ako, it's very important na sabihin man lang tokenism ito or performative ito in a
Yeah.
sense, importante, minasimulan ka eh. No? Minasimulan
Got
ka.
the ball rolling.
And of course, got the ball rolling, and
Yeah.
it's up to the members of the House, the members of the Senate, the civil society organization to put pressure on this. Rather than lahat tayo nagsasabi ng anti-dynasty pero wala namang nangyayari, at least ito, syempre, the usual naman how a bill becomes a law, kapag merong isang bill na naisa lang, at natalakayan, for example, first sa plenary, ni-refer sa committee level, doon ang mga debate. Importante masimulan yun eh. It should be, a learning opportunity again for all of us. Sa mga panahon na nag-dedicate ng kanilang oras, pagod, para isulong ang anti-dynasty, I think, guys, this is the opportunity.
At some point, no, in the past, Richard, when it was such a lonely game to file this anti-dynasty bill, yung mga taong regular na nagpa-file ng bill against political dynasties eventually formed their own political dynasties in their place. So,
Napagod na rin sila.
napagod
Might
na
as well join the...
Exactly. So at least now, medyo
It's
kumikilo.
sexy to be anti-dynasty so much so that Marcos is filing which is good, right? At least the ground is shifting.
Yeah.
Just very quickly on that, ano yung minimum sa inyo? Because one version would be at least yung obese version.
Yeah.
This is not the health. I'm using the Ronald Mendoza
Yeah.
framework. Yung almost
Fat-
10
fat
family
Being
members.
fat and obese.
Yeah, maybe yun lang at least natanggalin. I mean, we should have at least a mid-range understanding of what is politically feasible and also democratically sensible, right? I think we can agree on that. Kasi anything below that, I'm not gonna consider it serious bill. I'm gonna consider it as something worse, either performative or enabling or aesthetic, cosmetic, right? This is a serious discussion. I think we can have a long conversation, but I think maybe that's one healthy way of approaching this debate. Para hindi ma-confuse. Kasi people are so confused. Ang daming bills, ang daming versions. Para sa akin, at least the one that deals with the so-called obese and fat dynasties, it's a good first step. Siguro the next president or the next charter can do something better about it. Next question, ICI. Where do you see ICI going? Folded eventually into the ombudsman and auxiliary investigative arm? Has it served its purpose
Well,
already?
sinabi ni BBM na priority bills din dapat itong Independent Commission on People's Initiative. No? Parang ito yung semblance ng ICI. Again, yung mga proponent ito, for example, si Kong Laila de Lima, at hindi ko alam sa Senado kung meron kung sino yung counterpart niya, definitely bigyan ng opportunity na pag-usapan at i-mainstream. I think that will be the logical conclusion for the ICI. Hindi na simpleng i-fold. Kailangan
It
meron
could be like yung parang anti-corruption court sa Indonesia, no? Which you call folded, but later, but
yun ang
mahabang usapan
importante.
yun.
Meron siyang inyuan
Right.
na legacy, if you might call it, or meron mataas ang historical value sa ating political system na taga at the end of the day, although sabi nga nila isang school of thought ay i-strengthen mo yung ombudsman, pero kakaiba itong issue na to eh. So at
Yeah.
least wala namang masama kung magdadagdag pa tayo ng additional layer or additional institution that can also help to do a similar function ng ombudsman.
Right.
But the point is, nababantayan talaga natin. Ang wala kasi tayo sa US, di ba? Yung Office of Accountability. Yung
Which
OGA.
right now is also
Problematic. Of course. Sa panahon nga ngayon.
Under pressure by the Trump
Yeah, yeah.
administration.
But you know, it should be a good model. Kung it was really
Correct. Dapat ganun,
implemented,
It's a good
designed
point.
similar for what we have here in the Philippines.
Non-political.
Yeah,
oo.
non-political talaga. No?
Yeah.
Yung GAO office nila. No?
Correct.
Government Accountability Office.
Correct.
The very independent, may kapangyarihan, may power, kaya to investigate. No? Ngayon,
Right.
problema kasi, the executive now is dipping their hands in that. No. So, yeah, that's what I'm thinking of the
Right.
ICI.
An independent commission ng investigation. Kasi talagang may layers of degrees of separation talaga. Where do you see ICI going?
And support in its current
Yeah.
form.
Yeah.
In its current form, I'm
Kulang
not
ta-
surprised na it's going to the doldrums kasi you have a body that does not have subpoena powers, asking them to do a gargantuan task of investigating a major corruption in
Yeah.
government, and then they don't have the proper resources. What do you expect?
Kaka-reimburse lang sa kanila yung gastos.
Oo,
Well,
lumabas yung pera nila, yung budget nila for
That's
the
always
year.
like something is not gonna last that long.
So, yung sinasabi ni Ombudsman Remulla that they're going to close shop in February, I think that may perhaps, if it continues the way it is,
Yeah.
performing now, that might even be a better suggestion. However, my point is, we have to listen to the proposals of, I think, aside from Congressman Laila de Lima, yung kay Congressman Shell Jokno, I think if it's
Yeah.
something similar,
Right,
to
right.
make it a more
Shell Jokno,
permanent body
Yeah.
that would have teeth.
You know, parang KPP, yung anti-corruption body ng Indonesia before. I think that was a very
Oo.
good model.
Something like that.
Last but not the least, the most important question at a wild prediction about next year. Sinong unang uwi? Zaldi or Harry? If we're to make a wild bet. Din. Gary.
Cancelled na yung passport ni Saldi. Tapos si Harry, may pera pa ata siyang pending na application for
Mhm.
political asylum, no?
Although malabo rin. No?
Yeah. Oh.
So, sino uwi?
Nag-toss coin na lang siguro.
What do we
Wala-
think?
Wala ka na dyan, walang safe na sagot. Talagang
Walang safe na sagot.
toss coin lang.
Toss
ah,
lang.
toss coin lang yan.
50-50.
Oh.
The jury is
But of
still
course,
out.
we love them to come home.
Yeah.
Gusto namin sila marinig. Sabihin nila ngayon, ano yung mga sinasabi nila, kung nasaan bang sila ng lupalop ng mundo, sabihin nila ngayon in public.
Yeah, we miss them. I mean, we're just watching their vlogs and TikTok. I mean, it would be lovely to have them in flesh. Maybe in this show, we would love to have them. Thank you so much,
Thank
Dean
you,
Ed,
Prof.
very much. And happy birthday,
Thank you,
Dean
thank you,
Gary.
thank you,
Mabuhay
thank you,
ka.
thank you.
Catch us again next week here on One News. You can also check out the long conversation on Spotify and YouTube. I am Richard Heydarian, and that was The View from Manila. We're One News, all sides, all the time.